Today's episode of Redoing Furniture, when you buy something knowing full well it's not great, but you convince yourself anyway. So I picked up the lower half of a Hutch, and I think it's pine. It's solid wood, which is good, but let's be honest, this was never a high quality piece. This was more of a functional in its day situation. Instead of restoring it as is, I decided to repurpose it. First thing I did was remove the upper trim to simplify the shape. Then I started sanding down all the rough areas to get to a place where paint might actually behave. Not beautiful yet, just less offensive? Next came two-part hardening Bondo, because there were holes, chips, dents, basically a full resume of past trauma. The top of this lower hutch was never meant to be seen, so it's made of a pretty cheap plywood, uneven, pitted, and generally unhappy. I focused on filling the major gouges first, then went back and forth between sanding and filling. Progress was gradual. This is the stage where patience is tested and good music in your earbuds is essential. Then I found some seriously missing chunks of wood along the back base. So I went all in, Bondo plus spare wood pieces, clamps, and a little blind faith. I basically Jekylled and Hyded my way through multiple layers of Bondo, building up a kind of scaffolding and hoping future me would forgive past me. Will it work? Honestly, I wasn't sure either. To rebuild those missing sections, I had to go through multiple rounds of Bondo over the makeshift scaffolding I created. The alternative would have been cutting out the old wood entirely and replacing it with a new segment. But this wasn't a high-quality piece to begin with, and these repairs are on the very back bottom, so they're not going to draw attention anyway. Once the first round of Bondo dried, I carefully removed part of the scaffolding, trying not to take the Bondo right along with it. I did a rough sanding on every plane to start getting square edges, and that's when you can really see where the gaps were from the first round. So I went back in with the second full round of Bondo, filling in all the gaps that I had missed the first time around. After that dried long enough, I removed the remaining tape and wood supports and continued sanding those two sections down, being careful to clean up every edge and keep tight 90-degree angles. Despite all that work, both corners still required a third touch-up round of Bondo to make everything perfectly flush. After sanding it down one last time, I was finally pretty satisfied with how those patches turned out. Next, I turned my attention back to the drawers. I sanded down the Bondo where I had filled in the old drawer handle holes and gave the drawers a scuff sand both inside and out. I also added glue to some of the dovetail joints and clamped them down to make everything secure. I normally use brush-on primer, but I happen to have an extra can of spray primer, so I decided to use it on this piece. Of course, that immediately revealed hundreds of little dings that still needed to be patched with glazing Bondo. By the time I was done patching, the piece looked like it had the measles. The next morning, I sanded all those spots down. Because there were so many patches and the top of this dresser was so rough, I went in with a second coat of my regular roll-on primer. As you may notice, I accidentally poured out way too much, so I ended up priming the entire piece just to use it all. Once again, that second round of primer revealed even more spots that needed to be filled with Bondo glazing gel. After a quick sand, it was finally time to add a first round of actual paint, a chalk paint color called Drop Cloth. I decided to go with a soft, dipped look using two chalk paint colors, Drop Cloth and Tea Rose. I wanted something subtle and layered, not loud. I taped off the dresser just below the top drawer and carefully hand-painted both colors, sanding lightly between coats. Once I pulled the tape, I liked it, but it still felt like it needed a little something more. So I tried something I've never done before, chalk paste. It's similar to stenciling, but instead of paint, you put on a putty-like paste. I chose a very pale gray to add dimension without overpowering the piece. For the first drawer, I spread the design using a stiff piece of paper, which was challenging. So for the second drawer, I switched to an old credit card, and that worked much better. Then came another first. Normally I seal chalk paint with wax, but after some research I used a spray sealant instead, so the wax wouldn't affect the chalk paste. Next up, drawer liners. I applied a wood conditioner to the drawers and started measuring. Some creators make this look effortless. That is not my experience. Measuring is fine, but finding the edge of the backing paper is always the first challenge. Then I try peeling part of it back so it doesn't stick to itself, which never works, so I end up removing all the backing anyway. Then I cross my fingers, try to line it up perfectly on the first try. It usually takes a few tries. And once it's finally in place, I smooth the edges and trim the excess. And here's a reminder of where this hutch started and where it ended up. I'm not usually an arts and crafty style furniture flipper, but this was a good piece to experiment on since it wasn't super high-end to begin with. The soft, delicate details actually turned out really lovely. Now we'll see if anyone else vibes with my vision. That's always the interesting part about projects like these. Sometimes you follow the trends, and sometimes you just follow your gut. This one definitely falls into the second category for me. It's not meant to be perfect, nor for everyone, just thoughtful and a little different. And really, those are often the pieces that find the right home. My name is Meg, and I show you practical tips for refinishing and flipping furniture. Be sure to hit the follow button for more.